Welcome, collectors and friends, to another special edition of The Road to the National Sports Collectors Convention. This is episode number 5. This one is a real treat. We have on the backbone, the people who are making this happen, Jimmy Ryan, Joe Drellick, Brian C., Shane, and we are going to be diving deep into the upcoming National Sports Collectors Convention. So I'm going to bring you gentlemen on. How is everyone doing today?
Excellent. Doing great.
Great. Full steam ahead.
Well, I really appreciate you joining us. So first and foremost, for those that are not aware, if you've been sleeping under a rock, the Super Bowl of all sports card conventions is coming up, and it's just around the corner. It's going to be held just outside Chicago at the Rosemont Convention Center. And if you want any and all details, simply go to the Nationals website at nsccshow.com. So before we kind of get into, the ins and outs and the increased footprint and trade night and all this good stuff, please, Joe, you and I have known each other for a long time, and we both have done some charitable endeavors, both separately and together. I'd like to learn more about what you are doing in conjunction with St. Jude.
Sure. I think we can all touch on this. We all, have these charities dear to our hearts, as most of us do, and know that St. Jude and Make-A-Wish are two of the, most stand-up charity events and charitable endeavors to be involved with. So we're really excited about continuing what we started last year. Last year, we also did a charity component to the show. We focused on more local charity-based companies, which is great. And this year we chose to go broader with St. Jude and Make-A-Wish. And this year it's in the format of a sweepstakes, where you basically are purchasing a sweepstakes ticket and being entered into a raffle for drawing for 3 amazing prizes. The first prize is a 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan PSA 9 rookie card, authenticated slab, ready to go, ready to add to your collection or be resold. They're trending and selling for over $20,000 now. And then the second is a 1951 Bowman SGC 5 Mickey Mantle rookie card, again in that $25,000 to $30,000 range. And then the third is a beautiful painting commemorating the 45th annual National Convention done by Murray Henderson. Murray's an amazing artist that most people are aware of at this point. He's been doing the National for a couple of years now, and he was generous enough last year to donate a painting as well that sold at auction. So that's the brief overview. And Brian, Jimmy, Shane, jump in and fill in any gaps.
Yeah, look, the good news for anyone that wants to participate, and everyone should want to participate, is you can enter more than one time. Right. So you can buy multiple tickets of this and increase your chances of winning, which is a pretty sweet deal. So that element of it alone, I think, is pretty exciting.
And it's all in the interest of charity, correct?
Correct.
100%. The items were purchased by the National or donated to the event, and the tickets are being sold, I believe, is it 20 or 25 per entry?
$25 a ticket. It's a sweepstakes. You can enter right to the website. Go right to, as Leighton said earlier, nsccshow.com, and buy your tickets. Support 2 really good charities.
Yeah, excellent. Well, I was going to wait till the end of the show, but since we brought it up early, what I plan to do, and I'm going to make a post about it on social to try to help kind of kick everything going. I'll be honest, I didn't know about this until just the other day, and I feel like others don't as well. So beyond just our little chat here, which I think is great. We'll try to get it on YouTube and as many people aware of it as possible. I'm going to do something really special, not just for the National to buy some tickets, but I'm going to take $500 of Just Collects money, and I'm actually going to buy $500 of tickets, but I'm going to give them to my employees. And the reason why is because they've worked so hard, and candidly, I would not be able to do the National and have as much fun as I do if it wasn't for my team. So here's to my team maybe winning something big, but if not, I know we're supporting a great cause. And just so you guys are aware, I'm going to make that post public so that way other people know that, 1, it's out there, and number 2, some of the great things, as you were talking about in the sweepstakes, that you might be able to walk away with, all once again in the hopes of helping St. Jude and the charitable contributions and everything that they do.
Yeah, thank you, Leighton. That's fantastic. I mean, that's really awesome.
Oh, listen, it's the least I can do. At least I can do. So anyway, gang, so tell me a little bit about this year's national. Is it the same size this year? Is it smaller? Is it bigger? Do you have a couple autographed guests you're super excited about? Tell us a little bit about that as far as the national this year.
The footprint is about 20% bigger than it was last year. We were able to open up more dealer tables, dealer booths this year. It's approximately 110 more dealers than you've ever seen at a national in the past. So it will be the largest national that's ever been put on by the NSCC.
We have now a second area, which is called Hall G, or the second floor, where there'll be 75 additional 8-foot tables, which we're able to introduce new dealers in the room that have been on our waiting list for some period of time. And we're making efforts to do everything we can to include as many new vendors into the space as we can. So that's one of the big improvements that people will see when they arrive to the show.
That's super exciting. Now, I have a question for you. Let's just say you're an aspiring dealer, right? You know, you're someone in your 20s and, you know, you're really getting the hang of the space. And you've heard it's really tough to get a table at the national. What should someone in that particular situation do to help themselves get a table for a future convention?
So the first thing they have to do is they have to go to the website and download what they call a letter of intent. Letter of intent, basically a questionnaire saying that you want to set up at a future national. That places you on a waiting list. You have to fill out the letter of intent. We can't stress it enough. That has to be filled out. That's the only way you get on the waiting list. And we were lucky because, as Brian touched on here with the additional dealers that came in, these are dealers that actually went out, filled a letter of intent and set it in, and they got rewarded by being on the waiting list. So you can slowly chip away at the waiting list, but you have to get on the waiting list first.
Great. Well, I appreciate you mentioning that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I don't want to make light of this because it was a really important thing for Jimmy, Brian, and myself to make sure we were very conscious of the waiting list and the size of it. And we certainly spend time talking to a lot of the frustrated dealers that are on that waiting list. So this is a real big deal for us to be able to crack this door open and get this started. You know, the 75 tables may not sound like a lot, but trust me when I tell you, it's just the tip of the iceberg to get things going in the right direction. And for those of you who are familiar, a lot of people in our industry come to Chicago, not only for the national, but for the other event that's held there. This is the first time we're really expanding tables up to another level. So there's a lot of potential. We can fit way more than 75 tables. And the goal here is to activate that space upstairs for 2026. You know, add to the 75 tables, but you know, the messaging is that we want to get out is to the dealers is that we hear you and we are working for you behind the scenes to make it happen. You know, we will do everything that we can to go from 75 to 100 to 125 to 150. It's also an interesting thing too. This is something that Jimmy, Brian, and I conceptualized was it's an 8-foot table, right? So now the national actually has the ability to handle any type of dealer coming into the space, right? So the traditional space for a dealer booth at the national, as most people know, is a 10 by 15 space. It comes with 3 tables. That's a large space. It's 150 square feet. Not everybody needs 150 square feet. There's 2 different, types of booths, right? The 10 by 15 in Chicago, we have a 10 by 10, and now we have an 8-foot table. So not only does it meet price points for everybody, but it also meets the more exacting needs of what you have. You know, you don't want to have a 10 by 15 booth if you only have a table's worth of stuff. So it allows us to better accommodate what your needs are as well and better accommodate people that need more space. So we're really excited about it. And it's really just the tip of the iceberg. And I can't emphasize enough how happy we are to get it going.
I really commend you on that, Joe, as well as a number of things that I know, at least for me over the last 12 months, I feel like really excited about this year's convention. And for those that don't know, Jimmy, Brian, and Joe are not just, fancy managers here of the National Sports Collectors Convention, but they're one of us. They're not just dealers. They all started off as collectors. And for me, that is super important as far as knowing that, my future as well as the other dealers' futures are in good hands. So I really appreciate you, Joe, and your team recognizing that not just for the different spaces, but the different price points. We're in a wildly, rapidly growing industry, and you easily could just turn the other cheek, if you will, and say, hey, you know what, we're full, we're sold out, right? As the National is a not-for-profit organization, but you're really going and trying to make a lot of different amends. And I just really appreciate that. So thank you.
Yeah, I don't think that's a great point, Leighton. And I don't think that you can find a better value than the National. I really don't. When you compare regional shows across the country, and there are many wonderful regional shows out there, and a lot of guys doing a great job opening doors to the hobby. But when you look at the price per table, per booth, admission, 5-day pass, VIP pass, and you stack it up against larger regional shows across the country, the National is the best value. And you're going to the Mecca, right? You're going to the Super Bowl. So I'm really proud of what we're doing here, and thank you for noticing that and helping educate people that are new to the space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I think what's important for people new to the space to know is that there's 100,000 customers waiting to come to the show. So just to set the tempo for how big of an event, and I use this, around my family and friends who aren't in the space. I explain to them the National is like Comic-Con. Like, you think Comic-Con, think the National. And when you get there, it won't disappoint. You're gonna go, yep, this is Comic-Con baseball cards.
Well said. Now, speaking of that, because I feel like we spent a few minutes on the dealers, and I think that's important, but let's be clear. We're all doing this for the collectors, for the folks who are going to be coming there, whether it be with their family, with their buddy, they're getting a reprieve from their significant other so that they can spend a few days, right, to build their man cave or whatever the case may be. So I'd like to hear, at least from each of you, just one particular thing as to why should someone go this year, particularly to the National Sports Collectors Convention in Chicago?
I mean, I can touch on, so I handle a lot of the corporate side of things, and I can tell you that twofold. The activations from all the corporate partners are bigger, better than ever. We try to pry information out so we can co-market, co-brand, and help get the word out. But the companies have their niche and their nuance, and they want to do things a certain way, and they want to keep things close to the vest. But what I can tell you is the conversations that I've had is the value that you're going to get for your dollar walking in that door is going to be blown away just simply by the corporate activations. Collecting aside, that's a whole other conversation. Maybe Jimmy and Brian want to touch on that. But that piece of it, the VIP bags are off the charts this year again. There's rare promos that are national released only. There's special offerings from we have 49 corporate partners this year. Almost all of them participated in some level of give back to customers. And that's what we really push. Jimmy, Brian, and I are very adamant with our corporate partners that we want to make sure the customer experience gets elevated year after year. So the number one thing I was going to say is that I feel like we achieved that. I think we did a great job last year, and I think we did an even better job this year. And part of it's thanks to the management team, keeping the pressure out there, but it's also the willingness of these companies. I don't want to not discount that. Companies like eBay and whatnot, Topps Fanatics, Upper Deck, Panini, Leaf, Wildcard, like they're all just chomping at the bit to do the right thing for the customer. So, and that's the one thing I would press people on. If you're not a VIP holder for 2025, jump in early for 2026 because those bags are really, really, really good. You will not be disappointed.
It's a great point, Joe. Before we let others speak for a second. So if someone comes to the National this year and you're like, OMG, I'm never going to miss another one again. Yep. Can they buy tickets for the 2026 National at the convention this year?
I'll let Jimmy touch that one. Yeah.
No, tickets usually go on sale the Monday after Thanksgiving weekend.
Dang
That's when they go on sale. It's always that Monday after Thanksgiving. But what customers do is they start setting up their hotels right at this show.
Great point.
We're already getting requests now. What are the dates for next year's National? So they're already planning already to come out. But VIP tickets and general admission tickets go on sale the Monday after Thanksgiving weekend.
Okay.
And just
so it's like a drop almost.
To expand on what Joe was saying about the show, I mean, we have an old saying that, as far as a collectible standpoint goes, the National has everything. I mean, it's got everything. It's got the largest selection on the floor. We call it the largest candy store in the world. If you like candy, walk into the National and you got the candy. It's the largest candy store in the world. There's everything available there. It's almost, and it's like a museum too. You'll walk around the floor and you'll see stuff that you never see anywhere else either. Whether you want to buy it or not, whether it's an old baseball glove or an old World Series trophy or something like that on the floor, you may not be interested in buying that, but it's kind of cool to see that stuff too. So Nashville is so much to see on the floor, from a collectible standpoint and a viewing standpoint also.
Agreed.
And
I like what Jimmy said there about it being a museum. So, you know, to answer that question again about why would someone want to come? The hobby, the enthusiasts, the collectors, the dealers, it's always going to be the core of the National. That'll never change. But what we're seeing is people that are hobby adjacent, people that are sports enthusiasts, but may not be avid collectors, starting to get really interested in coming because there's so many more things that they can see. And this idea of a museum is a very interesting one, because you don't have to be an avid collector to walk that floor and appreciate some of the incredible items that are there. And so we're starting to see more and more people buying tickets that aren't necessarily deep collectors, but what they walk away with is a bit more of an interest in the hobby, which is part of the reason the hobby's grown the way that it is.
It's a great point, Shane. It's a lifetime of memories. And, you know, when you say it's a museum, I want to have a little asterisk like Roger Maris style here for a second and say that it is a museum, but this is why to go. It's the best museum that you won't see in a week, meaning it's a pop-up museum.
Yeah.
And you don't get to decide, you know what, I'm going to go later this year, right, when I go see the family for Thanksgiving and I get to go. No, that museum will be closed. And so I can tell you from firsthand experience, right, because we all have friends and family that may not be collectors, but they're kind of going like this now, like, what's going on? Seems like the space is on fire. You know, talk to me. Joe, you wouldn't believe it. I have buddies from high school that are asking me late, is it okay if I just come out for the day? And I say by like, okay, what do you mean? And they're like, well, you know, will I have fun? And I laugh at them. And I say, no, I'm telling you the issue. The issue is going to be you're upset. You're going to have to leave. Because some of them, Joe, are literally saying, hey, I can put together an appointment on my calendar, have lunch in downtown Chicago, come out for the afternoon. And I said, you're not going to stay over? And they're like, no, I got to get home. I said, you do what you want. I'm just telling you that you're going to be upset. And to be honest, I'm going to block you texting me for updates for the rest of the week because it's a very busy week. So the point being is that it really is good from a few hours to a few days. But make no mistake, if you're there only for a few hours or an afternoon, I think you're going to have FOMO because there's just no possible way. Like, even if you're like, you know what, I just want to see the autograph section.
Right.
Well, I don't even know how to describe how to get through that in a couple of hours. And then what happens, and for me, one of the best things of the National, besides the stuff, is the people, right? I used to see Joe all the time. You know, I do get to see him in Philly, but my point is there's some people now I only get to see once a year.
Yep.
And I'd be remiss if I don't get to BS with them for a couple minutes at the show.
Yeah, exactly.
So it really, it's like this big stew. It's the Super Bowl, but yet it's Woodstock, it's the World Series, and it's all in some big stew, but yet in a week, it's gone. So that to me is why you have to go. And I can't speak enough good superlatives about it, other than if you're there for a short amount of time, you will see you're going to be upset that you're leaving and not having more time on your hands.
Yeah. We often refer and say you need to bring more cards and more money, because the two things are going to occur, and the power of the liquidity in the market right now, and the percentages that are being paid against cards. I mean, you know, if you're a store owner from, you know, Oklahoma, you could recycle all your showcase inventory by just coming to the National, right? Take all your old inventory, walk in the door and roll it around and come back home with all brand new inventory.
Brian, I'm trying to do that by Wednesday morning, my friend.
Yes. Yes. There's just so much power in the room, and there's just so much willingness, and it's just like you have to see it. It's majestic. You have to see it.
Leighton, I loved what you said too about, you know, the newbie, right? The newbie, like if you ever held a baseball card or a football card or whatever in your hand as a kid, there is absolutely no reason for $30 to not walk in the door there. There's nothing to be intimidated by. There's enough going on that you're going to be fully entertained for however many hours you're there. And I agree with you, Brian and Leighton, that, you know, there's no doubt that you're going to leave there if you're there for a short period of time and think, man, I should have budgeted more time, or man, I'm really going to go check out next year's event. And again, you know, I love the analogy too, where it's gone in a week, and next year it's going to be similar but different. You know, so there's going to be new elements every year. You know, we're finding out the activations from our corporate partners, and dealers are scaling up their inventories like, you know, no one's ever seen before. You know, I like to say, and Jimmy and Brian and I joke about this, you know, we used to walk through the National 20 years ago, we knew 85% of the people. You know, you spend half your time chit-chatting with everyone you know. Now we walk through the show and we're the show managers, and we're lucky if we know 25% of the people. Like, that's literally the turnover and the change and the expansion. So
let's not talk about age here, Joe. I got some grays also. I'm trying to, you know, keep it on the DL.
Yeah.
But you're right. And honestly, it's a testament to not just you and your team, but really the prior regime, and then our hobby as a whole has really come a long way. But Brian, I wanted to touch upon something that, to a collector that either might be a newbie, or let's be clear, right? Even if you're someone who goes to your regional shows, but maybe you haven't been to the national in just a couple of years, Bri, I want to bring up something that you said that is super, super important. That even if you're a little bit tight on the yen, a little bit tight on the budget, if you will, make sure you bring your doubles.
Yep.
Bring your unwanted cards. Bring your triplicates. Bring that starter 53 set that you're like, you know what? I'm just not going to buy the Mantle and the Jackie. Cash out. Because what's so wonderful, and myself included, right? Because I'm a buyer, you know, I don't just collect. But there is no better place as a collector to sell, because you get to keep everyone honest. Everyone has cash to buy. And what's so great is you have that instant gratification. You don't get that money and you're like, well, I guess I got to save for the Philly show in September. No, you're at the world's biggest candy store. As you guys said, you could buy whatever you like, whatever your budget allows. So don't just bring your cash or your checkbook or your PayPal account, but realize that the dealers themselves are there to barter, to trade, to chat, to buy, etc. And as you alluded to, Bri, we're not talking like 50 cents on the dollar. In many cases for graded cards, myself included, dealers are paying 75 cents, 85 cents, 95 cents on the dollar, depending on what the card is. But the most important thing is to bring them. Because if you go up to a dealer's booth and you tell them the story about how you left your lunch at home and your Mickey Mantle was in it, they don't really want to hear that.
Yep.
They want to see the goods. So bring it with you and try to be prepared. Because also, as Brian is alluding to the liquidity, if you have 9 people in line to see me and 7 of them all have their ducks in a row, and 2 of them, who are the first 2 people in line, are like, late, I have this great stuff, but I don't know what any of this stuff's worth. I'm going to politely ask you to go on the side and value your material. And when you're done, we could talk turkey. Because as I just alluded to a few minutes ago, in a week, it's gone. And so time, to me, is the most valuable commodity, much more so than the cash at the National. Because once it's gone, it's going to be a whole entire year of weeping on your pillow, waiting for the world's largest candy store to come back.
Well said.
Yeah, very well said.
So guys, talk to me about Trade Night, because I know a little bit about it as I've been involved just a little bit with Trade Night, but I know this goes way beyond just the vintage component. I'm hearing about different sections like UFC and tennis. Can one of you please explain to us, for those that don't know what Trade Night is, you know, where it's going to be held? Does it cost money? And should I bring, you know, my card? Should I bring cash? Should I wear a suit? What's the scoop?
You want me to take that? I can take
Yeah,
that.
you want to start it,
Yeah.
Joe?
We'll all jump in here as we run through it. So basically, Trade Night is a super fun activation that happens after the show closes. So it's basically the after hours party. It's located inside the convention center, up on the 2nd level ballroom, the largest ballroom there is. You take the escalator right upstairs. You run right smack into the ballroom. The escalator off of the main lobby. Sorry. And that takes you right up to the Trade Night. The only thing that you need is a badge or proof that you were at the show. So there is no additional charge for that. I believe it's in upwards of 35,000 square feet. Again, in a ballroom. Last year, we were relegated to the best case scenario we had with the building. It was in the basement. We did the best. It still was wonderful. But this year, it's definitely scaled up, appearance-wise, size-wise, activation-wise, and to your point, yes, we've brought in. So kind of what happens, or what has happened as the National has grown, is all of these different collector bases have gotten together. They have their own communities, right? The wrestling community, the soccer community, the F1 community, the vintage card community. And so what we've done, Jimmy, Brian, and I, like literally just calling friends, talking to people that we've been friends with in the industry forever, is kind of brought everybody under the same umbrella and said, guys, let's just make this party a bigger party. And, you guys don't have to spend the money on your hotel rooms, and you don't have to, do it separate from the community of collecting. So each year, last year we got a few of those in. This year, I believe we've got everybody, like literally everybody, from the super high end collectors to, like I said, the vintage collectors, to the F1, to the soccer, to the wrestling. And yeah, it's all going to be under the roof of the ballroom trade night. So we're really excited about that.
And it's about value, gang. I mean, you could literally go and do cards for 18 hours a day, provided you can get away with sleeping, using the bathroom, and eating for 6.
Yeah.
And it is 3 nights. It's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I don't know if Joe mentioned that. It is 3 nights, no. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights.
Jimmy, is one night different than any of the other nights? Or if they show up on any of those 3 nights, will they be able to access all these different wonderful groups you were talking about?
You can show up any one of those 3 nights. 1 or 2 groups are setting up 1 or 2 of the nights. But for the most part, I would say it's probably an 80-20 rule. Okay. 80% of people will be there every time.
Sure. I do want a special... Oh, go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think we have different hosts too, right, Jim? Each night there's different hosts.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Yes, different hosts each time, different sponsorships each time, some giveaways up there. The whole idea behind us, the National with the trade night last year was to take, like Joe touched on, all the little groups that were going all over the place, all different hotels, and bring them underneath one roof. So we're working real hard to keep growing it underneath one roof. That's why we're bringing underneath the national roof. Get everybody. I think it's great. Together. And everybody, just get everybody in together underneath one roof, and we'll keep expanding as we go forward in future years. But it's 3 nights.
Excellent. I want to give a special shout out to my friends from the For Collectors community. They are going to be there, I believe, on the Saturday night for the vintage component of the vintage trade night of the National. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention them. So a couple more things before I cover something I know is near and dear to all of your hearts there. As far as tips go, so let's just say, you're a family, you got a couple kids. What's the PB&J rule? Can we bring peanut butter and jelly? Can we bring a turkey and cheese to save a few dollars so that we can buy more cards? Talk to me, guys. What's the scoop?
Well, kids can get in for free.
Amazing.
Jim, right? I mean, start with that, Jim, up to 12,
I didn't know that. That's great.
We start with kids 12 and under are free, and military's free.
Yeah.
Military is also free to the show. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I mean those are the two. Those are the really the 2 biggest. But
yeah, I mean, if you're coming to the National, bring a bottle of water, bring a knapsack, carry some little bit of food in there for yourself to eat. Just give yourself some energy through the day, because you're going to get tired walking around all day long. There are seating areas, inside the show, the exterior. There'll be some other seating around the show. For if you do have a couple of kids with you and the kids want to take a break and sit down. We did a pretty good job last year of putting out extra chairs around the walls around Cleveland, and they were used. They were, Joe, Brian.
They were all used. I took pictures, Jimmy. You guys did great.
Well, people will take their breaks and sit down and relax, and that's what it's supposed to be like. But again, bring a little bit of food, a little bit of water with you, just to make yourself comfortable inside the room.
We've expanded on the food concessions by getting some satellite food stations set up throughout the halls. We addressed ATM machines this year, whereas we were overrunning the ATM machines last year, and there's going to be a numerous amount of them throughout the hall. Just other small details we've been paying closer attention to and trying to just continue to refine the experience for the customers.
I think that's great. I have one question related to finances. I don't think you've been asked this yet. Has the National Sports Collectors Convention ever considered financing collectors in a way that effectively they send you cards, let's say, prior to the convention in some way, shape, or form? Because I think there's an idea there. I don't know if you heard recently, I'm going to try to have the gentleman who founded it on my podcast, Trading Card Therapy. There's a new apparent credit card that is geared towards collectors. So it made me think, I'm like, you guys are sitting on $1 million idea there where people are coming to the National and maybe they have a bonus coming at the end of the year and they don't have extra doubles they want to sell. Maybe there's something to be said for a financing arm of the National in the future. Have you ever thought about it?
I'm going to say no.
I'm gonna say,
Okay.
so, yeah.
Good job, Joe.
All right. Well, I wanted to bring it up nonetheless.
No, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and I could see that, especially with the way the market's rallying, and there's a lot of great upside in Yona, LeBron James, PMG or whatever crazy card you may have. I can understand why you'd want to borrow against it. So that makes a lot of sense.
Well, at least we heard it here first if it ever does become.
Yeah.
You
So
got it
getting-
documented.
Exactly. So getting back to what you said before about the military, I just want to commend you. My brother-in-law is in the military. I have friends in the military. Thank you so much for doing that. That it obviously shows that you guys care about what's happening in our hobby and our community. And I wanted to give a special shout out to, I think there's something this weekend called Hobby Palooza on YouTube. And it's in conjunction with an organization called Signatures for Soldiers, which I think you guys know. They set up at the National. They raised several $100,000 over the last few years for soldiers. And this particular weekend, they're doing something that I'm participating in called Hobby Palooza, which I think for 24 or 48 hours, there's going to be straight hobby content on YouTube. So I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. It's really wonderful that a number of different sectors are recognizing the importance of the military in our country and our lives. And I really appreciate that. I'm sure you do as well.
Absolutely.
All right. So last thing I wanted to talk about today is this Youth Collector Clubs initiative that you're doing in conjunction with Curtis Granderson. Admittedly, I've only found out about it recently, but Shane, if you could maybe shed a little bit more light as to what this organization is doing and what you're doing as the National in conjunction with this organization.
Yeah, certainly. And you just found out about it because we just launched it last Thursday.
All right. Well,
Here in
at least
Chicago.
I wasn't sleeping under a rock. All right.
So it's brand new. No, you've not been sleeping under a rock. So the Youth Collector Clubs initiative was first and foremost born out of the idea that the National really is the vanguard of the hobby, and to be that, there's a lot of weight behind that, right, and responsibility, and one of the things that the board of the National and these guys believe in is investing in the future of the hobby. Yes, it's growing, but the goal of expanding the reach of the hobby and introducing it to more and more people, especially younger audiences. We benefit from the fact that this is the first of a 3-year stint in Chicago. So this is something that we've not done before, where we've been in one city for more than 1 year at a time. And there's some advantages to that, right? And one of them is that we've got the ability to put some roots down in a way that may not be as easy when you're just going from city to city, year to year. Not that you can't, but it definitely makes it easier. And so we had this idea of, can we use card collecting to introduce kids to the hobby, but at the same time in an educational way? And if you think about some of the tenets of this hobby, there are skills that you can learn from card collecting that are very transferable from a career standpoint, a life skill standpoint. Things like entrepreneurialism. The recognition that this is one of the only marketplaces in the United States that is very true to capitalism. If you think about that as a notion, which is really fascinating. There's a lot of different facets to it, but at the end of the day, we wanted to find a community organization in Chicago that we could work with to bring this idea to life. And we've known Curtis Granderson for some time. Curtis is a Chicago resident, played at UIC and then went on to have an amazing career in Major League Baseball. Now he's back in Chicago, and he formed an organization years ago called the Chicago Baseball and Educational Academy. And that academy, his intent is to use baseball as a vehicle to introduce high school age kids to potential career paths, get them onto a college campus, get them excited about that, but at the same time, making sure that the work that organization is doing is investing in these kids' futures. And so there was a bit of mission alignment here. On our end, we're looking at cards as a vehicle for teaching certain life lessons and career lessons. He's using baseball to do the same thing. It was a very natural fit. And so really from the get-go, from the first conversation that we had with Curtis, he understood it. He got it immediately. And so what has culminated here is we're fortunate that we have a friend in the industry, a guy named Samuel Evans, who you may know, who is a huge avid collector out of Philly, big content creator, a lot of followers, but he's also a high school principal. And he has the lens of an educator. And Samuel worked with us to develop a curriculum to use card trading to do what I'm talking about. And we launched that as the Youth Collector Clubs initiative last Thursday at Curtis Granderson Stadium at the University of Illinois Chicago with Curtis and a group of about 40 kids from Chicago, interestingly, mainly girls, which is another really interesting development as this hobby grows, right? We're seeing young women getting more and more interested in the hobby, and that's important. And we like that quite a bit. So we did an initial lesson called Card Trading 101. The kids got to rip a bunch of packs that were donated for us. And then what we're going to be doing is bringing a small cadre of kids to the National and giving them a really cool immersion experience where they're going to have an opportunity to meet some of the big dealers, go around, see what's going on. We're going to give them a few challenges on going and finding certain cards. And talking to one of our partners, Pristine, who I want to give a big shout out to because Pristine is actually running an auction for the benefit of Curtis's organization to help underwrite the program. And that auction is live now. And you can find that by going to pristine.com. And we want to support that local organization in addition to St. Jude's and Make-A-Wish, Illinois. So we're really proud of getting this off the ground. And the hope is that this curriculum can continue in Chicago over the next 3 years. And we test and refine and make it bigger and better so that every time we go to a new city, we can leave something behind for a new generation of collectors. So.
Very well said, Shane. And I don't want to forget to mention Kayla Collects as well as Samuel, because
Absolutely.
Kayla jumped in at the last minute and really did a wonderful job helping with the initial initiative. And this is something Jimmy, Brian, and I are passionate about. It's very important to have a large element of the National be a give back and bring new people into the hobby. So we're really excited about it.
Well, first, big congratulations to you and your entire team. As you can tell, I'm almost a little choked up. I do some charity work for, something that affects my son medically. You make me feel very proud to be in the hobby and to be part of this organization, right? We're taking some of our successes that we're all finding in life and we're putting them towards a hobby that we've all loved since we've been 7 or 8 years old. So thank you to each and every one of you gentlemen. And of course, to the many people that are probably behind the scenes on your team. Special shout out to Jeff Rosenberg and TriStar. For those that don't know, they're responsible for the Autograph Pavilion. I think that there's some crazy number like 50, 80, 100 athletes, anywhere from all-time greats like Dr. J to Pete Crow Armstrong, the latest hot Chicago Cubby, to anyone and everyone in between. And once again, if you want to find out that full list, how to get tickets and all that good stuff, you just go to the Nationals website at nsccshow.com. Gentlemen, is there anything else that you'd like to share in addition to what we've covered already?
I think we did pretty well here. I think we got a lot covered here in a good amount of time.
I think so too. And I had a lot of fun. I hope you did as well.
We did.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Leighton.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, folks, that is a wrap on the road to the National with the National Sports Collectors Convention Management Team, episode number 5. Thanks so much. And we, all of us here, look forward to seeing you in just a couple weeks at the Chicago Rosemont Convention Center for the National. Take it easy, everybody.
See you at
See
the
ya.
show.
So yeah.
So